Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. It is Angela, the Traveling Crafter, and today I'm here with another Bolo Books installment, one I promised you quite a while ago. And if you don't already follow the hashtag Bolo Books, it is a hashtag that is hosted by myself, where myself and many other book lovers and creators will hop on and share their favorite Bolo books, or be on the lookout for books that they think that they love, or that they feel might also be something you would be interested in. So we are going to flip through the story of the Little Golden Books, and I'm just going to kind of flip through some pages here, and I'll let you look at that for a second, and I'll tell you a little bit about the book. Now, the author of the book is a gentleman by the name of Leonard S. Marcus. And he is a leading writer on children's books specifically, and all of the people who create said children's books. So he has award-winning books that include Margaret Weiss Brown. You all know who she is if you love Little Golden Books. Awakened by the Moon, Dear Genius, The Letters of Ursula Nordstrom, and Show Me a Story Why Picture Books Matter. So he is the author. And I'll tell you, Leonard does an extremely good job of doing his research, and this is very, very detailed. I have not read the entire thing. I have been reading it. I'll tell you what I know so far. The foreword is done by Eric Carle, so that's really kind of cool. And I won't give away a lot of things because I want you guys to, if you love golden books like so many of us do, I want you to experience this like I got to experience it. But I will tell you a little bit of history about the Little Golden Books. I will also tell you that our friend Leonard, he hit the mark in every way possible. The only thing that I was hoping it would have, and that it doesn't, is I wished that there was like a whole list, even if it wasn't a photo of everyone, but a photo would have been really cool, of every single golden book up until publication date that has ever been published or written, illustrated, whatever. That is not, you're not going to find that in here, but you will find a plethora of very, very interesting information. And I'll just kind of flip through a few pages and tell you a little bit about what I know. So there were some surprising things. I mean, I knew a little bit of the background. I knew when they came out in the 1942, I think the first 12 came out. I knew things like that. I knew that there was a relationship with Whitman. Didn't really understand what that exactly was. So that was pretty exciting. And the company was called Western Publications, I believe. And it was in Racine, Wisconsin, which is about, 20 or so miles north of Milwaukee, maybe. I think Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee. And it's also on Lake Michigan, if that makes any difference. So if you kind of know the relationship of that. Well, there was a gentleman by the name of Edward. I'd have to go now. I should probably look. Edward Wadenwitz, I believe. He was a German-American, and he was originally a woodworker, and he went to work at this trunk factory that was owned by his cousins. And he eventually devised a really simple assembly line to make it more efficient. Well, he went on. He didn't stop there. He wanted to continue and went back to school. I think he got his master's degree even. And then he decided he was going to be an accountant. Well, he went to work. There's Walt Disney. He went to work for, he had a job as an accountant, and then he worked at night at a printing company, which I don't remember the name of the printing company. And they kind of got into some financial woes. I want to go back to these ladies here in a second. They got in some financial woes, and so they had asked Edward, I think they called him by his initials or something, to buy in, and eventually he did, and then shortly after that, and this was back in the like early 1900s, he then bought the whole company out, and he was very ambitious, and he ended up landing, long story short, he ended up landing some pretty solid clients to do their printing. One was Johnson and Sons. So I think what became Johnson and Johnson's, if I'm not mistaken, and Case Plows, which is, Case still makes implements now. One of the biggest ones, though, and this is where I didn't know the relationship with Whitman. They were, some big heavy hitters that they were doing printing for. Well, one of them was Hammer and Whitman, and they put in a huge order and they didn't have enough money. They were going broke. So they couldn't pay for their order. And so Edward and company ended up, look at little babies, Eloise Wilkins. He ended up keeping the books as kind of payment and took ownership of all the books, and then eventually bought out Whitman. So that was the piece of the puzzle that I didn't really know. So they became, they continued on, and they were doing a great job. Well, around like 1918 or somewhere around there, they hired a guy as a salesperson, and I believe he ended up being like a author as well, to help go around and sell the books. And they had a goal to land it in different kinds of retail places. Look at this. This is just, there's some pages I want to talk about. So, Whitman had, one of the things that they had were a lot of coloring books, and they were selling them at 10 cents a piece. Well, back in the day, and I don't know exactly when it was, but books were selling children's books between, I think it was $2.50 and $3.50. $2.50 to $3.50. So it was hard for kids of all socioeconomical backgrounds to be able to get great books. So in about 1918, they landed, and I can't remember the name of it was kind of like a Ben Franklin, like a 5 and dime store. They got a contract with them to sell their, not little golden books, because this was before little golden books, but their little books at these 5 and dimes. So pretty cool. Well, a short time later, one of the employees that worked at what was still then, I believe, Western Publishing, there was a misprint. They were supposed to have like 12 dozen books, or 12, something like 12 dozen of each books, of whatever books they were publishing. And instead, the person read it as a gross and not dozen, and they printed like 12 times the number that they needed, which almost, bankrupt them. But they came back. They had to figure out a way that they were going to, manage this. They also did, and you will probably remember that with the Whitman name, they did puzzles and games, and then they got into playing cards. So if you've ever seen, like, around the old playing cards and then the mini playing cards, those were back in the 1920s, like 1925 were when those first started coming out. And this is all under the guise of what eventually became Little Golden Books. So pretty cool. When they started selling those, probably in like, it was during the Depression, but in like 1928, they started selling what they called Big Little Books, and they were a huge hit. And they were selling them, I think, a little bit cheaper, if I'm not mistaken. This is Margaret Weiss Brown, by the way, if you're interested. And then and you probably, if you've seen some of my live sales or some of my hauls, if you see books written by, it's Salfield, spelled S-A-A-L, Field, they started doing imitations of the Big Little books. And I think, I don't know what they called them, but then Whitman decided to change the name to Better Little Books. So they weren't going to let them have the upper hand in that, which is kind of funny. But back in 1928, that's what I wanted to show you back here. I don't know if it was, well, we're going to find out. If it was Sam Lowe, this was their original, this was Dr. Shoop's. They ended up buying his building, and they were in the whole thing. Hold on, let me find the letter. Here it is. Yes, it was from Sam Lowe. So Sam, again, remember, was the salesperson. And he wrote a letter to Disney and said, "Dear sir, with this letter, we are sending you a sample of our Orphan Annie and Dick Tracy books, both of which we publish and sell to Woolworth and similar stores." So they had then got a Woolworth. Oh, this is in 1933. A Woolworth contract, which is another 5 in time. Dick Tracy came out about 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, and we have printed over 600,000 of these books. Now, this is 1933. Orphan Annie has been out about 5 weeks, and we've printed over 600,000. So both of them over 600,000. In the case of Dick Tracy, we are already publishing a second book, and we are planning to do the same with Orphan Annie. You will notice that in the makeup of these books, we work a picture on the right-hand side and the story on the left-hand side, using the material for the story from the balloons that go with the comic strips. We wonder if it is possible to get the right to Mickey Mouse in a book of this kind, which is different than anything already published. We would be glad to pay 1/2 or 1/2 cent royalty per book for the use of Mickey Mouse, and would be satisfied to put down a substantial payment to apply against first royalties on such a book. The writer is fully aware of the fact that Mickey Mouse is used in various kinds of books, but this Big Little book is unique in itself, and we are intending that excuse me, to follow up the books already published with other titles that will have appeal to the children. Very truly yours, Whitman Publishing Company, Sam E. Lowe. Now, as the story goes, they did agree, and then there was some hoopla that they backed out temporarily. And as you know, Disney is very strict. I mean, they were even back then with their licensing and such. But they somehow, in like a short amount of time, I want to say like 3 or 6 months, they got back in their good graces, and they ended up going ahead with their partnership, which is pretty phenomenal. They then built a plant in New York, which was outside of New York City. And then like a year or two later, they built another one because they didn't think the one that outside of New York City was going to do well. So they built one in Manhattan. So they had 2 in New York, 1 in Racine. And then in, I don't remember what year, 1936, I think. Was it this lady whose name was Lucille Ogle? I'm not really sure exactly what her job was. But I think maybe like marketing, and she worked with, there was a collective, I'm forgetting what the name of it was called. I thought maybe it would pop out on the page at me. A guild of writers, a writing guild, that they worked with artists and writers, and she kind of managed that when she worked with them, and I think she may have worked there until she retired. This was Fedor Rodjankovsky, which, you know, he wrote many, or illustrated many a story for Little Golden Books and other books as well. So that was kind of interesting. And then I think the big, I was just going to say, the big draw, and you'll have to read it because I don't want to give all the things away, but Pat the Bunny was published, what does it say, 1940, during that holiday season. And it immediately became the year's best-selling children's books. And I think it went on to be one of the best selling children's books for years and years and years to come. So that is really pretty cool. I want to go to the first 12, and I think that that was what I highlighted here. Yes, these are the first, yes, the first 12 little golden books that were ever issued. They did 50,000 copies of the books, and they were, I believe, a quarter a piece. I think that was maybe even less. I don't know if it says. It says, within 5 months, a third printing had nearly been exhausted for a total of 1.5 million copies sold of just these 12. So, pretty amazing. And you can see these old books, if you find these are the ones that had the original spine on them. Pretty amazing. But they tell about a lot of the authors, a lot of the illustrators. It's really fascinating. This is Ursula Nordstrom. Our friend Leonard, who wrote this, has also wrote a book about her. And then I think this is, yes, it's Jeanette Lowry. And I don't really remember exactly if she was an author. Maybe she was an author. Oh, I don't remember. But she's got a cool story. I need to go back and read it because I don't remember. And there you have Tenagrin with his poochie. And it tells all about the pokey little puppy and all of the... Oh, it's just absolutely fascinating. This one, I mean, I would love to have this one. But that's the very little amount that I actually read and remembered and researched, because, you know, there's a lot in this book. And I have not even hit all of this. I mean, I haven't read any of this yet. Here, if you didn't know, the company also wrote the bird books, and not just bird books, but all of them, you know, like trees and such and such. There's something. Here's Miss Eloise. So cute. I love those. I do not have this book, nor have I seen it, but all the other ones are pretty common that you guys might have seen. Might not be the originals or the first editions, but Linda and her little sister, I'd love to see that one. All Aboard, I don't think I've seen this one. And this one just seems to be saying it's one of those books like I like. Probably they're not dressed up in clothes, but, you know, it seems like that would be pretty awesome. And Susie's New Stove, I would love to have that one too. This is like your wish list, you know? This is cool. The Road to Oz. A Day at the Beach. This is one of my favorites. So cute. I think, is that what the name of that? The Day at the Beach was the one that Carrie just sold at one of our live sales, or maybe it was different. I think it might have been. It was something beachy. I have that one. Let's Go Shopping. Oh my gosh, I've got to have that one. Who wrote that one? Oh, Margaret Weiss Brown. I don't have that. Or she didn't write it. She illustrated it. And there we go. There's Richard Scarry. There's a picture of him somewhere. Oh, right here. That's him. Smokey the Bear. The Color Kittens. I think a lot of us had that one. Oh, wait. Maybe that's Richard Scarry. Maybe that other one was Richard Scarry too. I think it was. Pat a Cake. This is cute. Oh, here's more. Let's see. I've never seen this one. Seven Sneezes. I haven't seen that one either. This is Garth Williams. But, I mean, come on. This thing is, oh my gosh. Have I ever seen this one before? I don't think so. Have I? The Kitten Who Thought He Was a Mouse. I need that book. This one used to be a favorite when I was little as well. I don't have Dale Evans, but I think I have a, oh, is it Roy Rogers? I don't remember. Now, I'm not a big collector of, I mean, I have some of these books and I keep them. This I've sold before, not in French, but I've sold it in English. I do have a small collection, you know, like I'm talking about, what, 25 books maybe. I have a ton that need new homes. So every once in a while I will do a little golden book sale on the Maker's Market or live here. Nurse Nancy and Dr. Dan. Who's this? Ruth Krause. No, I can't wait to read about you. There's Mary Blair, who wrote I Can Fly. Look at that. J. Fred Muggs. Yeah, this one I think is the one I have. And I have this one. And I think I have that one. Or maybe this one. I have one of them. There he is. So I think that if you love little golden books, you will not want to pass this one by. Put it on your gift list. Here's the Golden Book of Math and Science. I made all of those. Put it on your wish list and ask those that love you. I have this one as well. Oh, I'd love to have this one too. Look at me. I'm like, oh, I want that one. I want that one. And I bet someone who loves you will get it for you for a birthday or something else. Oh, look at Caroline reading I Can Fly. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I spent a lot of time on this and giving you a little bit of the, I have this one too, of the background, but it was my pleasure and I could look at this for hours upon hours. So I hope you enjoy your copy if you decide to get one as well. And friends, until next time, remember to take time to just be. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that you come back for more Bolo books like this or for other fun videos in the future. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.